Well, hey, everybody. Happy Sunday. Getting ready to record episode 203 of Mike in the Midwest today. We're going to talk about part time jobs. Oh, we are live. I just got a notification. So let's do this. Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to episode number 203 of Mike in the Midwest, our mini podcast for the amazing patrons just like you of the Be Our Guest podcast. Of course, my name is Mike Rollman, host of the Be Our Guest podcast. You can find me on the social media at Be Our Guest Mike. You can find me most of the time over on Twitter/X. Again, at Be Our Guest Mike. Give me a follow over there, especially on Instagram as well, because in less than 4 weeks, I'll be sailing the Disney Fantasy down to the Eastern Caribbean. I'll be posting lots of pictures, staying at Old Key West the night before. So you'll be seeing a lot of Gurgling Suitcase, the 1-bedroom villa that I got to steal on at a travel agent rate. That's why we're living it up for one night in a 1-bedroom villa. I can't wait. I'm so excited because we're taking my niece. So we've gone from a party of 4 to a party of 5. And when that happens, the Coronado Springs room that I was thinking we were going to stay in can't happen. We have 5 people. So had to get a little creative. And with, the youngest being 15, this 5th sleeper is not going to work at Caribbean Beach or Riverside. She's small, but I wasn't going to make her sleep on the 8-year-old 5th sleeper bed. So we're going to do a 1-bedroom. I got it. Like I said, got a good deal. We get travel agent rates as travel agents. So one night we're gonna splurge and have a good time at the pool over there, Gurgling Suitcase. Maybe have a meal at Olivia's if I can swing that. I'm gonna try to. We may. Pam's family is we're all family here. This is what Mike in the Midwest is all about, right? We tell stories. That's why you're here. If you're a new patron, hello, I'm Mike. You know me from the podcast, but on this show, it's not always about Disney. It's just about us hanging out for about 30 minutes every week. And I tell stories that are just me shooting the breeze with you guys. We're a big family. So you guys all know from the show that we're going on the Disney Fantasy. I've never been to the Eastern Caribbean. I've been to the Western Caribbean 3 times. So I'm very comfortable with that, but I've never sailed the Eastern. So I'm super excited about that. I've been on the Fantasy. I love the Fantasy. We did that for a podcast cruise back in 2017. It's my favorite ship. Super stoked for this, but a lot of Pam's family, ironically enough, a couple of her sisters, her mom, her nephew, there's a lot of her family is sailing almost exactly the same time we are on the Wish. They're going actually the week before us on the Wish. So they invited us to go with them on the Wish, but we're like, we just sailed the Wish because we just had the podcast cruise last summer. And I'd already put a deposit down on this Eastern Caribbean cruise on the Fantasy. Plus, I didn't want to go on a 4-night cruise again. I wanted to do a 7-nighter and I wanted to go to the Eastern. So long story short, everybody's like, you're not sailing with your in-laws? I'm like, no, it's not that I don't want to sail with my in-laws, but it's just I want to go to the Eastern. I want to go longer. I want to go on my favorite ship, so it's not that I'm not trying to avoid my in-laws. I love my mother-in-law and Pam's family, but we're going to be almost overlapping on our cruises, 2 different ships. And everybody jokes, thinks I'm trying to avoid them. I'm not. The funny thing is, though, why I say we may or may not eat at Olivia's the night before our cruise is because they're going to be getting back from their cruise and staying a couple nights at Walt Disney World before they come back to St. Louis. We're getting to Florida the night before our cruise. We're getting there on a Friday and sailing out on Saturday. So we're going to all be at Walt Disney World on July 5th because that's our day before our cruise, and they're going to be there after their cruise. They get in on the 4th. And it is also my mother-in-law's birthday right around that time. So secretly, I don't think my mother-in-law is a patron of our podcast. If she is, shout out Elaine. You're the best mother-in-law ever, but I don't think you're a patron. I think that my sister-in-law is trying to arrange like a special birthday dinner for my mother-in-law at Walt Disney World while we're all there. Because, we'll be there, of course. Paige, Mallory, her, Zoe's going to be there. So I think they're trying to set up a birthday dinner for my mother-in-law, but Can we not just do it at Olivia's? That's the best place to have a birthday dinner, people. We're already going to be at Old Key West, but I don't know where it's going to be. So it may not be there. So that'd be a bummer. But maybe somewhere at Disney Springs, that'd be good. But I don't know. I try to stay when people have big plans. I've learned to stay out of it and just show up. So any place at Walt Disney World will be fine. I don't want to have to be the person in charge, especially for that many people trying to set up a dinner. I'm fine. I'll just show up and eat. So that's good. So I don't know where we'll be that night, but if this doesn't come to fruition, we will be at Olivia's and having dinner that night, or Splitsville. I like Splitsville because I want to go see that drone show. But that is where we are right now. Where am I on a scale of 1 to 10 for excitement for the cruise? About a 22. I'm so excited. Again, the last 2 Saturdays, I have set my alarm on my Apple Watch for 3:30 p.m. Central so I can watch the Disney Fantasy sail out of Port Canaveral at portcanaveralwebcam.com. I love watching all the people wave. That's going to be me in a few weeks. So you have to watch me. I'll wave to you guys. I'll say, hello, everybody, and give you a little wave as we sail off to the Eastern Caribbean on our first 2 sea days. I cannot wait. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Hope you guys know. But yeah, we're gonna have a good time. So that's kind of where we are right now. Not a whole lot going on around here. Tomorrow, exciting day around the Rallman household. It's our 18th wedding anniversary. I've been so lucky again to be married to my best friend. Love it. You'll see it on social media. Got married June 10th, 2006. Pretty awesome day. Got to marry my best friend, got to marry the teacher next door. She puts up with a lot of stuff with me. I'm telling you what, she's put up with a lot. She gives me the time to do this show, and I do this show a lot. You know, when I first told her I would do a podcast, like I'll do a podcast a week. That was kind of the sales pitch back in when I started talking about doing this show. It was, I just wanted to talk to somebody about their trip, do an audio trip report 1 time a week. That was a sales pitch. We've almost done 2,600 episodes. I know we just hit 2,500, but if you look, it's actually about 2,600 shows because we didn't count the live shows for a long time. And she's put up with a whole lot, but it's taken us on a journey that we couldn't have expected. So she's always been there, and she's an angel. And for example, you guys, I haven't kept this a secret. You guys know, like, I've been having a little struggle with my anemia coming back. So tomorrow's our anniversary, and we're going to be sitting we got to go to the hospital tomorrow, and I got to do the iron infusion thing again tomorrow, which ironically enough, this is not our first anniversary that we've sat in a hospital while I've had to have iron infusions. This will be our 2nd anniversary that we've done this together. So again, Angel, yes, I'm married to a good one because we did this on, I think, our 11th anniversary or 12th anniversary. So we'll go get something to eat after or before, or, we'll celebrate. But yeah, the fact that we've had to do this more than once, she's an angel. She's a keeper. So I'm very lucky to have Pam as my wife. I'm super lucky. So that's what's going on around here. Can't wait to give her my gift I've gotten her for our anniversary, because I think I have symbolism. I thought about this one. I'm not a good gift giver. I'm actually the world's worst gift giver. I've said that many times, but I thought this one through. Can't say anything yet, but I will tell you, I'll tell you how it all kind of ties together next week after the gift has been delivered. So I'm pretty stoked about this one because it's not only symbolic, but it's practical. It kind of hits on different things. Like I'm excited because I really stink at giving gifts. All right. So a couple things before we hit the feedback and talk about this week's topic. I just watched Scotty G's vlog of his Edwardsville vlog. I'm rocking my hat today in Scotty G Must See Adventures vlog, and I'm going to wear it for tonight's call-in show. It's my Mike in the Midwest hat. It says Midwest on it if you're just listening to the audio show, because I purchased this at Wally's. Scott drops into Wally's, which is like a Buc-ee's, but it's in Pontiac, Illinois, about 100 miles outside of Chicago. If you're going down Interstate 55, it's it's very much like a Buc-ee's. It's a big gas station convenience store, bunch of gas pumps, clean restrooms, and they sell all kinds of food and snacks and all kinds of stuff in there, novelties. But I just want to say it's really cool to see someone who is doing really well at something they're good at. I know Scott's my buddy. And that's besides the point. Scott is my good buddy. He's like a brother. But he is good at the vlogging thing, and he's only been doing it here for a couple of months. As I watched it, I felt like I was riding in the car there with him and him and Elizabeth, and as we went through Edwardsville and got to see Gardner, Illinois, and it does remind me of Radiator Springs. I think Elizabeth said that. I want to go there. I've driven past that exit 1,000 times going back and forth from Chicago, and I used to speed skate all over Illinois. I'm intrigued. And, it was a great travel vlog, and I like that it's very blue collar. It's a very, it's kind of raw. It's not overly produced. It's produced enough, but it's not overly produced. And it's really cool. I just want to bring this up for a few minutes. I think it's super cool when you see somebody not only doing something, you can tell that they're enjoying, which I can tell Scott's having a good time doing this, but also he's good at it. And I can tell like he's really good at the vlogging thing. And I've said with the podcast, and I think you guys would all agree with me, he's really good at podcasting. I think, and I hope that you agree with me, that when we added him as the fourth member of the podcast team, it has brought a lot to our show. I think he has great perspectives because I think he sees things a little bit differently. And I think we all see things a little bit differently. He's a DVC owner, which Pam is a DVC owner, but Ricky's not. I'm not. So that brings a different perspective to things. He travels like last minute sometimes, and Scott and I are both runners. Ricky and Pam tend to not be. It was nice to have another guy on the show. I think that it's really kind of brought more life to the show. In the call-in shows, I think he does tremendously with our callers. And I like having him there during the week whenever he can make it. I think that's a lot of fun too. So I hope that, in your everyday life, whether you're a teacher, you work in the corporate world, you work in sales, I think it's cool when you see a coworker or a student, because I used to see this with my students too, right? When you see someone around you that's like really doing well at something, that like, oh man, they're just good at that. Does it make you happy? Because like when I was watching that vlog, I was like, man, Scott's good at this. And like, I can't wait. Like, this is just part one. Okay, what happened the next day? Dude, they're up till 1:11 in the morning. His watch died. I'm like, okay, dude, get to editing. I got to see part two. Let's go. That's what I'm going to tell him tonight on the show. I got to see the next part. And I think that's a sign that it's good, right? Because it left me wanting more. But it's fun. I mean, of course, I know him, so I think that makes the connection stronger. But it's cool to see people. And he put on the Discord last night, I think, or yesterday, that he was out at Blaze Pizza and he got recognized. So this dude's gonna have to start wearing like the big, maybe a Tom Selleck mustache or something, and some really. I think Ian over in Europe said that he's gonna have to wear shades everywhere he goes. He's gonna paparazzi. He's getting famous. So well done, Scotty G. Just want to shout out you. All right, let's hit the feedback from last week on breakfast memories. I talked about all the crazy stuff I used to have for breakfast as a kid back in the 80s and 70s. And man, I opened up a can of worms with chip beef on toast that my grandma used to make. And I love that stuff. And my grandpa called it something else. And apparently some other people's grandpas called it something else. And I love that. All right. John Luther said, we also talked about packing because Scott was talking about packing. He says, on packing for trips, I'd probably be considered the late packer. I usually won't start until the afternoon before we leave, which gives just enough time to run for the travel sized items that we might have missed. Generally, though, as long as I have my glasses and credit card, I know I'll be fine. For cereals, I had to really think here. The mainstays were Cheerios, Rice Krispies, and Honey Nut Cheerios. The sometimes cereals were Frosted Flakes and C3POs. Yes, the Star Wars cereal. I never had those, but I listen to a lot of retro podcasts and they always talk about C3POs. And I've looked them up and they looked really cool. We never had them though. Rarely I would get Fruit Loops or honeycomb, but most of the sugariest cereals I never even saw until the college dining hall, and I've never even tried most of them. Yeah, I didn't have I did have we did have a lot of we did have a lot of Fruit Loops, and I know those were terrible. But my mom, like I said, we had the Cookie Crisp, but I know those were just chocolate chip cookies. I guess my mom didn't really care about nutrition when we were kids, as long as we were happy. Probably not great. All right, let's get to where's the other ones? Hang on, we're getting here. And we gotta go to the video. And here we go. We're gonna go to Trisha. And I gotta say, real quick, Trisha has been killing it over in the clubhouse, the Discord, with her Hellwig hot takes. She's talked about the porcelain, the ceramic tile making over at Coronado Springs. She's talked about the drone show. She's given us feedback on the proximity of the tower rooms to the dining at Coronado. I have loved following along with her to the pools, with her trip through her Hellwig hot takes. And I just love our clubhouse. I love the Discord channel. Right now, she's there. There's some other folks there. They're in Epcot today as we're recording. They may or may not meet up, but they're communicating through that. She showed a brand new drink they have at Space 220. It looks awesome. You guys are the best. Thanks for hanging out in the clubhouse. That just makes me so happy that we have all this community. We have like a little family there. And every time I hear the little thing go, bloop, I'm like, yes, somebody's hanging out in there. We're getting, when we get a new member into the welcome center, I love it. Like, we're getting more people in there. It's awesome. So thanks for being in there. Trisha says, when you read this, I will be in Disney. The week leading up was the worst because work was awful and I was mentally checked out. I read a Star Wars novel to distract me during the week leading up to my trip. When that didn't help, I would mentally run through the different scenarios we could do each day of our trip. I actually find this comforting as I will feel more prepared if unexpected things pop up. I was a cereal and milk kid watching Garfield. Weekends, my dad would make pancakes or waffles. Today, my daughter loves homemade breakfast sandwiches or breakfast burritos. Those are pumped full of protein. And if we don't have much time, there's frozen versions. Good for someone looking for a high protein breakfast. You're so funny, Trisha, because you know what? Right before recording this show, I'm not kidding. Right before I walked into the studio, my wife has just gotten back from Deerberg's, which is our grocery store. I was helping her unload the groceries. And one of the things I have to do is eat better. And I've mentioned here that I used to eat Keebler peanut butter crackers for breakfast and a Coke Zero. No, I've been eating 2 eggs every morning. And apparently that's not cutting it. And guess what came out of the bags? A box of Jimmy Dean frozen breakfast burritos and a box of sausage biscuits, like that you microwave. So you're onto something here, Trisha. That's that is on the menu this week, I think. So there you go. Oh, gotta give you a ding. You're having a good time down there. I loved watching it this week. Carrie Good, here we go. I love hearing your cruise updates because we get on the fantasy the day you disembark. Oh, boo. I'll be sad. You'll be excited. I'll give you a high five, though, Carrie. We are 1 week behind your excitement. You are fueling my excitement, and it's really hard to focus on anything else. I like to look at the excursions and start a mental packing list. I will even start putting things aside to pack, even if it's over a month away. Carrie. Is it ever going to get here? Pork and never webcam, right? Oh my gosh. You feel my pain. The fantasy awaits. Oh, Gills. Not evolution. The tube. I can't wait. Just get me on the ship. We're almost there. Almost there. David Zerwisky says, hey, Mike, your recent medical problems are something I can relate to, but instead of low iron, I actually have high iron. And I came across the problem very similar to you. Regarding breakfast, besides cereal every morning, I recall having at my grandparents' a microwave breakfast, included pancakes, eggs, and sausage. At the time, we loved every once in a while, we would get some Pop-Tarts. Oh my gosh. In college, I was hooked on Pop-Tarts, brown cinnamon sugar. But go ahead. He says his were strawberry frosting was his favorite flavor. If you look at a section now at the store, they have 30 different varieties, but nothing beats the old basics. And I loved Apple Jacks. Just the mention of it brings back that memory of them in a cold bowl of milk. Keep up the great shows, David. David, you rock. And I'll tell you what, I'm telling you, there was a brown cinnamon sugar Pop Tart. And I am not kidding. It was either in college or right after college. Maybe when I first started teaching, because they were cheap. They were like dirt. And I want to say maybe I got like off-brand Pop Tarts. Maybe they weren't even like real Pop Tarts. Because there was like when I first started teaching, I was like broke. And I didn't even go to the real grocery store. I went to this like knockoff grocery store across the street from our real grocery store. It's called Shop and Save. And you didn't even like, they didn't bag your groceries. You would just like scan your groceries, and they had like the boxes, the stuff came in, and they would just put the boxes at the end of the grocery, like where you checked out. And if you wanted to, you could put your groceries in these like old broken down boxes and carry it to your car. That's what you would do. And a lot of the stuff was off brand. And I remember, God, I want to say that I got like Pop Tarts, but they were like, I don't know what they were called, but I think they were off brand, but they were good. They probably had more sugar in them, probably, or something. But they were like cinnamon, they're brown cinnamon sugar. And oh my gosh. And if you hear that outside, that's the Blue Angels flying over my house right now because they're just rocking because the air show's happening. There they go. Oh man, I'm missing them. But I loved Pop Tarts there because they were so convenient, right? And you'd like sometimes you put them in the toaster, and that was fancy Pop Tarts. Or sometimes you just grab them out of the pantry and run because you had to get to school because you slept an extra 5 minutes. Oh, Pop Tarts, David. I need Pop Tarts now. George up in Washington. Aloha, Mike. I saw George got to hang out with I saw you're hanging out with somebody on Instagram. Who you're hanging out with? I saw you were you not hanging out with somebody? I thought you were. Maybe not. Well, anyway, let's get to his email real quick. Sorry, because I got distracted by the Blue Angels flag because I saw him go over the house behind us. Crazy there. Aloha, Mike. Breakfast is my favorite meal of the day. Me too. We often go to restaurants based on if they have an all-day breakfast menu. Same. As soon as you mentioned chipped beef on toast, I instantly said to myself, that's SOS. I love it. I've never had it, only heard about it as my dad was in the Air Force and would tell me about it. I grew up on cereal as well. My favorite was Frosted Flakes. I always asked for Cookie Crisp, but my parents would never buy it as they saw it as a box of cookies. See? Oh my gosh, you get 2 bells because that's exactly what it was. Honey Smacks, Fruity Pebbles, Captain Crunch, and Honeycomb were the usual in our house. Is it just me, but doesn't Captain Crunch do a number on the roof of your mouth? Okay, I got to stop there. I listened to a bunch of retro podcasts, like I just said, and everybody talks about the Captain Crunch doing the thing to the roof of your mouth. It has never done that to me. And I just discovered it at Christmas. It's the first time I'd had it. And everybody talks about that on these shows, like, oh, Captain Crunch, man, it destroys the roof of your mouth. It doesn't do it. Now, it destroys my stomach. If I eat it like right before bed, like at 1:00 in the morning, I'm like, oh. It's also because I'm eating it and I'm 50 years old. I'm eating it like 10:00 at night. That's that. But it doesn't hurt my mouth. Anyway, back to George. Me and my brother would often get into nasty fights over the prize in the box. Is it illegal to put prizes in the box anymore? Because they're not in anything anymore. That's another thing. As an adult, I realized the best part of a box of cereal is the very last bowl. Oh my gosh, third bell. Because you get the sugar. Yes. The sugary goodness is just so good. Alas, I'm now at an age where the eating cereal is a no-go due to blood sugar issues, but thanks for the trip back in time. This might be, George, I think you just got all the bells because you just had the best feedback ever. Oh my God, that was the best. Yeah, getting old stinks. Exactly. Because last night I had 4. Okay, so I just needed something sweet right before bed. Because I have to take a couple pills before bed. I have to take this iron pill. I got to take like this, again, old, right? I take this like pill and a half for migraines. So I got to split the second one And so because you got to split the second one with this pill cutter, you kind of taste the inside, right? If you don't take it doesn't hit right. And so like I always like well, I make it an excuse to eat something sweet right after it with a little milk. So I'm like, I need something sweet to get that pill taste out of my mouth before I brush my teeth. I mean, I'm brushing my teeth, right? So I don't really need something sweet. It's an excuse. I'm just lying to myself and you guys right now. So, but I'm being honest with you guys actually. So I'm like, I just need a handful of Cocoa Puffs or not Cocoa Puffs, Captain Crunch. So I get hand it turns into 4 handfuls. Oh, 4 handfuls. It wasn't like I had a bowl of them. I had 4 handfuls. And I'm kidding. I'm not kidding. Like at 4 or like 1 o'clock in the morning, my stomach was like, oh, so it's just killing me. But old. It's because I'm old. I can't do this stuff anymore. I used to be able to crush like Taco Bell late at night. It's something's wrong with me. Anyway, Mark's got our last feedback of the week, and Mark's deck is looking awesome. His grill's looking awesome. He's ready for some parties up in Plainfield. He knows about Wally's, where Scotty G was. He's right next to it. Mark says, hey, Mike, we made the mistake several years ago of having the first flight out on July 5th. The early alarm combined with the neighborhood fireworks going off until 2 a.m. and no sleep at all. Yes, we are flying out at 5 o'clock in the morning on July 5th. Well, we'll make it happen. My favorite cereals were Fruit Loops and Tricks. I forgot about Fruity Rabbit or Fruity. What's the line for Tricks? Is it Fruity Rabbit? Tricks are for kids or something like that. But I also like the Golden Grams, Honey Smacks, Cocoa Puffs, and Frosted Flakes. But in my early 20s, I ended up in the ER with a hypoglycemic reaction. I'd eat a couple of bowls of sugary cereal, then 1 liter bottle of Pepsi, and that was just too much sugar. What? Yeah. we got It's a wonder we're all still alive. Mine was Taco Bell and cereal. How I'm still, yeah, it's a miracle that I'm still here. I mean, I'm not kidding. It's a modern miracle. Anyway, thanks for this feedback. If you have any feedback about cereals, you missed it last week, breakfast stuff, jump in. There's still time for next week. I'd love to hear it. Patreon.com/BeOurGuestPodcast. Be a part of the fun. This is what this is all about. This stuff right here, Mark, George, David, everybody that jumped in here, guys are the best. Jump in. Patreon.com/BeOurGuestPodcast. Okay, real quick. Today's topic that we're going to get the stew going for next week's feedback. So my daughter Mallory, right? 16. She got her license on her 16th birthday to drive in Missouri. You just got to turn 16 and we don't have a formal driver's education program. You just kind of teach a kid how to drive and you take them on their 16th birthday to the Missouri, these license department, and there's people there. They take them out. You do a little written test. They take them out in the road. If they can pass the driving test, takes about 15, 20 minutes. As long as they can do that, don't hit a deer, don't hit a person, don't run a stop sign, don't speed. If you don't even have to parallel park, as long as you do great, good enough on the first part of it, you get your license. And, there's a few restrictions, like you can't have like more than a couple people in your car for the first 6 months, but you can drive by yourself. There's not a lot of restrictions compared to like what I've heard from like with Emily and stuff in Michigan. Like you never had to log hours or anything like that. You get your license. So she had her license from day one when she was 16. We saved up, we got her a car because, around here, everybody drives to school. Got her a little used car, a little Ford, and a little compact car. And so she has a part-time job. So she works at a place. She works at it's called Mod on Trend. What is it? I'm trying to describe what it is. It's a women's store. They sell clothes. I've never been in it. It's a boutique. That's the word. I was trying to come up with the word. It's a boutique. They sell women's fashions, fancy clothes. And so she's had this job. Okay. So I want to talk about part-time jobs and the discussion that I've had as a dad to my daughter. And she likes this job, right? Because it's totally Mallory. My daughter, Paige and Mallory, are way different. Paige is very just gung ho, like she loves to work. Like Paige is always like, because I see my girls on Find My Friends, right? That's how you see your kids when in this age of technology. Like Paige is up in Chicago. I kind of worry about her because we just want to know she's okay, right? We just want to know because she lives in the big city. We're suburbanites. She's up there. She doesn't have a husband. She doesn't, she doesn't, she, we just want to know she's okay. Like she's kind of our, like, I mean, she works with people, but she doesn't have anybody that she's like attached to. So, and we're 300 miles away. So we do look and, make sure she's okay. And, we know where the dot is, where she lives. We know where her office is at the gym. We know where the practice facility is. We know where the game venue is, where where the Credit One Arena is, where they play their games and so forth. So we know like the usual spots where she's supposed to be. Anyway, Paige is always at work. Like she'll be at work at 11 o'clock at night. Like she works all the time. She is a hard worker. Paige is one of the hardest workers, if not the hardest worker I've ever seen. Like she throws her heart and soul at Mizzou. She was always at Mizzou Arena. She'd be at Mizzou Arena at 10:30 at night. She'd be there later than the head coach doing stuff for that team. And she does the exact same thing for the Flames. She's there later than the head coach. She's there before the head coach in the morning. It's crazy the amount of hours she puts in. And I'm super proud of her for that. That's just kind of how she is. Mallory likes to work too, and she loves this job because she loves to be on Instagram. She's a kid of her time, right? She's of that Instagram. She loves to be on her phone. She's a cheerleader. She likes to look good. She likes to be on trend, with all of her friends. They like to, have their hair right and have the tans. I mean, the cheerleaders have a certain look, and she likes to have that look. And so working at a boutique is right up her alley. The problem is in the boutique likes to have cheerleaders working there because they kind of want to have those girls to wear because they have to wear their kind of clothes when they work, and then they're out in the community and so forth. And they also use them for their social media. So they have them do these like little hits where they show off the goods, because they go to these big markets and buy this stuff, and then they show it off on Facebook because they have a Facebook page, and on Instagram, and they'll show off like all the stuff that they've gotten in, hot this week. And so Mallory will, ooh, check out these shorts and check out this cute little top and this hat, this outfit. We can put it all together for you. Come on in this week. I mean, Mallory's only 16, but I mean, I'll be honest, like she's pretty good at it. I don't know where she got talking in front of the camera. I don't know where she ever got that idea. But I'm super proud of her, right? Because she doesn't really know what she wants to do with her life. And I didn't know what I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life at 16. I mean, I wanted to be a baseball player. I wanted to be a radio guy, but I mean, I didn't know for sure. I didn't really know if I wanted to be a teacher. That was just kind of a practical thing. Like I knew I could be a teacher, get a job. That was just a way to make a living. I loved it, but I didn't know if I really wanted to do that. But she's good at it. And the thing is, at that job, like they work short shifts. So like she's working right now, but she went in at like 11, but she'll work till 4. So to me, that's a short shift, like 5 hours. And sometimes she'll work a shift of like 3 hours or 4 hours. Well, to me, you don't make a lot of money working shifts of like 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours. And she might only work 2 or 3 days a week. So she's never going to work like, even over the summer, she's not going to work like 20 or 30 hours in a week, which that's the difference. When I was a kid, now here's getting back to Mike in the Midwest. In my summers from the time I was 14, moving on all the way through life, I worked a ton in the summer, but I always had jobs, part-time jobs that I loved. So from the time I was 14, I umpired baseball and I loved it. Like you got paid per game, and I would go up to the place, and I was always scheduled because for one, I was like a tall kid. So at 14, I could umpire not only like the kids younger than me, but also kids that were my age, and sometimes kids that were even older than me. One is because I knew the game pretty well because I was a baseball nut. So I knew all the rules, and I just looked the part because I looked older than I was. And I was also pretty you know, I wouldn't take any gruff. Like I threw a dude out when I was like 15. I had to eject a guy. I remember I was umpiring with Ron Kolpa. He was a major league umpire now. He's thrown out a bunch of people. Ron Kolpa's not super popular. If you look him up, my dad DJ'd his wedding reception. He's been a major league umpire for like 20 years. He was umpiring the field. I was behind the plate. And this guy was giving it to me from University City. I remember he was a UC because that was one of our city, and he just kept giving. I'm like, you can't argue balls and strikes. And I'm like, these are you can't see from where you are. These are they're on the black. And he kept giving it to me. I ran him, and he wouldn't leave. I'm like, you gotta get to your car. You cannot be at the field. I was 15, but I mean, that's you. You got to take control. That's your job. You gotta run the game. But I loved it because I liked baseball and I liked being in charge of things. I like being the one that I don't mind people watching me. I mean, it's been my personality ever since I was younger. Like it's fine. So I liked it. So I'd be scheduled most nights because there was always a 6:15 and an 8:30 game because there was lights. So you do a 6:15, 8:30 game. So you were there from 5:30 until 11 o'clock. And then you'd eat a pepper belly, which was what you'd have for dinner, which was Fritos covered with chili with cheese on top. Oh, so good. Pepper bellies. I miss them. Buy some baseball cards and that call it a night. That was living. And you get paid in cash every night. And if I wasn't scheduled, what you would do is you would ride your bike up to the ball fields. And inevitably, because there were 11 fields at this place, somebody wouldn't show up. It was supposed to umpire. You would just take their game and you would get paid to do their game every time. So I would work every night of the week if I wasn't playing. Now, of course, I did play ball. So like the nights I was playing, I couldn't umpire. But if I was always as either umpiring or playing, loved it. Worked at the skating rink the other nights. So when it wasn't baseball season, I worked at the skating rink because my next door neighbors, we've talked about that many times, own the skating rink. I ran that skating rink and I was always there, always there. Loved it. But the thing is, I loved being there. It was a job and it was work, but I enjoyed all the people I worked with. Like when I got there, it was always my buds. Like I played hockey with a lot of these guys. We played inline hockey. The girls who worked behind the snack bar, we always had fun together. You know, we were always messing around, like coming up with concoctions, different kinds of combinations of sodas, or we'd do stuff with the cotton candy machine, or, you know, we were always making weird Otis Spunkmeyer cookies, and we always had a good time. And like when I was managing that place, we had the weirdest fun, like promotions. Like we had I think I've talked about this on the show. We had Western night one night. We had a live chicken. We did a Chickapoo raffle. Like whoever picked the box at the chicken, we divided the chicken cage into 100 squares and we raffled them off. And whichever square the chicken pooped in, that person won $100. I mean, we had so much fun. We had, you know, all night skates. It was all because a job was what you made it. And so, you know, I did that and I worked at a haunted house as a scare actor, you know, here in St. Louis. Like I loved working. So I don't know, like it seems like right now is a time where a kid that's 16 could get like any kind of job and make it fun because I think a lot of kids could go get a job with their friends. Because I think that the demand for like part-time labor in the money, right? The money, dude, we got paid dirt. We got paid like $3 or $4 or $5 an hour, but you didn't care because basically you were getting paid to hang out with your friends, like at the skating rink or umpiring, because you'd umpire with your buddy. Usually you get one to do the field, one to do the plate. The skating rink, I just hired all my friends. So that wasn't hard. So you're just hanging out, you know, and I DJ. That was my gig. So I just drink Pepsi, eat pretzels and hot dogs and play music. And my buddies would do the floor. So they would just skate around and make sure nobody broke their leg. How hard was that? I mean, it wasn't hard, but the thing is, getting back to Mallory, is like, she doesn't get a ton of hours at this boutique, but she's really good at it. And is when she's on her shifts, they keep track of like the amount of sales the girls bring in. And the last couple times, like she's had really high sales during her shift. Like she's the top salesperson, which I don't know, because I have no idea. She doesn't have any, she's 16. She doesn't have any like training in sales. maybe I think she's just getting lucky, like that the right person is coming to her and she's like just helping them pick out the right clothes. Now she is very fashionable. She does know like how to match clothes, which if you look at her dad, I do not know how to match clothes. I'm so not fashionable. If you look at me, I can't not even match a shirt to my pants. I'm terrible as far as getting dressed. Like I know when you guys see me at Walt Disney World, you're probably like, he is a slob. And I try not to be a slob, but I'm not good at dressing myself. She always looks nice. But she's really good at it. And I've told her, maybe this is something because she doesn't know what she wants to do. I'm like, maybe you want to go into business or I don't know what you do with that as a dad. Like, but I think she's maybe a business person because she did join DECA, which is a club it has some kind of business slant to it in high school called DECA. And I think this is a good, like, maybe these go together. But she has now been asked this past week to work for this new business it's about 20 miles away from us down in the winery country of Missouri, which if you saw my pictures over the weekend from it's called New Melly County Fair, this little fair that we went to, it's out in a town called Defiance, kind of out by that. It's on the Missouri River. It's along this windy road way out past the high school, this skinny 2-lane road that you got to take for 20 miles up and down skinny. I don't like her riding on that road, but what are you going to do? But they're making this event space. And the person who bought it is the Junior Vikings cheer coach. And so they're going to put on events there and, make it this real hip space. And they've asked her and a couple of the other cheerleaders to work there is like event coordinators and to run the social media and stuff like that. And so she's super excited about that. And I do want her to have a second job. And I've been telling her this for the last 6 months. Like, just because you work at Mott, I want you to work at your boutique because I think that is perfect for you. But if you're only getting 10 hours a week, it's okay to get a second job. Like, I don't want you sitting here all summer just working 10 hours a week because you can have 2 jobs. But I was trying to tell her, like, you could go, we have a little coffee stand basically in our subdivision. You could go do that in the mornings and be off at noon and still probably go work at your other place in the afternoon, but she also got cheerleading practice starting this week. And so it's one of those things as a dad, I'm trying to navigate it. And I know it's difficult, but I want her I don't want her to sit at home and not do anything, but I also don't want to overschedule her. So we'll see how this goes. But the point of today's show, and it's already way too long, is when you were a teen, what was your part-time like summer working experience like? Because, when you're younger than that, like it was cutting grass for me. Like I just made flyers and this is how old I am. Like I made flyers on Print Shop on my Commodore and I cut grass for like old people for like $7 a lawn. That's kind of how I started off. And then it was umpiring. Then it was working at the skating rink. Then it was just like in the, fall working at the haunted houses. And I still worked at the skating rink at the same time, but I do that on the weekends too, to get, you just did what you could because it was fun and you got extra money. But what was your story? And again, as a dad, I don't have a book. I don't want to give up the mod thing, the boutique, but it's not enough hours. So I'm stoked that she's gonna have the second opportunity, but then she's going to balance out with cheerleading. So how do you really work this out? I don't have an answer. That's why I came to you guys. But what I want to hear more though is what was your we're in the summer now. What was your like teen summer job experience? Like, did you work constantly over the summers, like in high school? Did you do something else? Like, what did you guys do? And what would you offer your kids, like your teenage kids? What advice do you give them? All right. I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say. All right, we'll do this again next week. Same time, same place. Until then, join me tonight. Scott's joining us for the live call-in show. And we'll be here taking your calls. We need them. So let's talk Disney. How about that long pier at Lighthouse Point? Let's talk about that. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. Seriously, the island's awesome. It's worth it. It's like the Yellow Brick Road. Let's talk about it. Join us tonight. Till we talk again, I'll talk to you tonight. You guys stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you real soon.